Jesus is not teaching us to pray, God, don't tempt me. He's teaching us to pray, God, protect me, like protect me from temptation because I know how weak I am. At first glance, when I came to the scripture, I wanted to look at it like for the first time. I wanted to have fresh eyes with it. And as I did that, I just wondered, is Jesus asking us to ask God not to do something he would otherwise do? So it says to pray, lead us not into temptation. Like, are we asking God not to lead us into temptation? The beautiful thing about this is that the Bible already answers this question. And so let's read James 1, 12 through 15. It says this: "Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial. For when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am being tempted by God, for God himself cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts no one. But each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desires." And then, verse 15, "Then desire, when it is conceived, gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death." So, does God lead us into temptation? This is the main point of our sermon today. Jesus is not teaching us to pray, God, don't tempt me. He's teaching us to pray, God, protect me, like protect me from temptation because I know how weak I am. There's a difference between temptation and testing, okay? And so both can come from the same Greek word, and it's parosmos. All right, in the Greek, there isn't much difference. The root word is the same between these two words, temptation and testing. As a matter of fact, in the New Living Translation in verse 12 that we just read, it says, God blesses those who patiently endure testing and temptation. But the interesting thing is in the Greek, there's only one word, and that's that parosmos. The difference in which way the word is translated actually is the purpose. And so parosmos means to try, to test, to prove, to examine, to put to the test. It's an attempt to learn the nature or the character of something. I have a program that I use that helps me study and do different things. But in word studies in the New Testament, it says this: it is a mistake to define this word as only solicitation to evil. So it's not only temptation. It means a trial of any kind without reference to its moral quality. And so the same circumstances can both be a test and a temptation. An example of that is when Jesus is in the wilderness and he's tested by the Father. It's to show his commitment to his Father and to show how he deals with sin, and he can remain sinless and all those things. But at the same time as he's tested, he's also tempted by Satan to fall in the very same event. A test from God has a redemptive purpose. There's a reason that uplifts, that shows us our love for the Lord. So examples, God tested Abraham in Genesis 22:1 when he said, hey, I want you to take your son Isaac and go sacrifice him on the mountain. This was not to cause him to sin, but to reveal the strength of his faith. Another one is God tested Israel in Deuteronomy 8:2. It says that he led them around the wilderness for 40 years, and it was to reveal their hearts and to teach them dependency on God. A test from God has redemptive purposes in your life, right? Now, on the other side of that, a temptation has a destructive purpose. Temptation is an enticement to sin. It's the same word family, but it's different in purpose. And God is never trying to produce sin in you and I. Satan and sin are trying to destroy you with temptation. We're reminded again, James 1:12 through 15. Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial. So we are blessed when we stand up under a trial, a difficult situation, a test, or a temptation. There is a reward. God says, man, well done when we've stood up to that temptation, that test, that trial. And so this answers our question, can God lead us into temptation? And the answer is no. Listen, God is only good. That's his quality, that's his attribute, that's who he is. He is a good God, and he can only do good things, and he only wants good for you and I. Our testing is to clarify where we are and maybe to help us grow in our maturity with God. He doesn't tempt us to sin. He doesn't tempt anyone to sin.